Hello, I'm Dr. Leon Stutzman, aka Doc, with another one of these little videos designed to help you to get through these strange days in which we find ourselves. And these are strange days indeed. I'm talking this week about memorable meals, but not just about memorable meals, about the things you can learn from memorable meals. A memorable meal doesn't have to be a really expensive meal. Case in point, the Chili King. It was a half block from our church. It had a breakfast they called the Las Vegas. 3 eggs any way you wanted them, 5 slices of bacon, hash browns, and toast. And if you walked through the back entrance, you went right by the iron flat top where they grilled the eggs, the bacon, and the hash browns together. The aroma was heavenly. The meal was fabulous. And the restaurant, well, it was a greasy spoon and attracted all kinds of strange, interesting, and eclectic people, and that's why I like to eat there. I loved the Las Vegas breakfast, but I also liked watching the clientele and the people that passed by the front window walking up and down Main Street in Dayton, Ohio. Westward Ho Cafeteria. My friend Jack Cross was given to hyperbole, but this was one time he wasn't guilty. He said it's the best cafeteria you will ever eat at. I had roast beef that I remember to this day. It was an over-the-top cafeteria experience. King Cole was one of the hallmark restaurants in downtown Dayton, a place where all the business people ate. My wife and I ate there quite frequently for lunch, often enough that we had one server that liked to serve us, and she always knew what we were going to have, and impeccable service. And so we found ourselves there on the last day the restaurant was open. They were closing, and she was weepy. Our server was weeping. She was emotional. We paid the bill, gave her a really large tip, and she reached down and kissed both of us on the mouth. That was a memorable meal. I could talk about other restaurants. L'Auberge was one of our favorite. Ossobuco, which is a peasant dish, done really, really well. L'Auberge was a favorite of ours. King Cole, Tomatoes, Kitties. I mean, the list goes on and on. But they all have one thing in common. They're not there anymore. They're gone. Westward Ho is a parking lot. They tore down the Chili King to put in a car lot. King Cole, Kitties, Tomatoes, L'Auberge, they're victim of changing trends in the dining industry. There was a time when people dressed up to go out to eat. They don't do that any longer. Even at a fine dining restaurant, people are casual. And those were not casual restaurants. Things changed and they didn't change. How can you weather the changes that are going on in the world round about you? What can you do? Let me suggest 3 things from those restaurants. The first is you have to be well positioned. Westward Ho was not well positioned. There was a restaurant next door to it that was more successful, and they eventually bought the Westward Ho building and tore it down and made a parking lot for their more successful restaurant. You have to position yourself. Chili King was in a building on Main Street that was urbanized. You have to position yourself. They weren't well positioned. Position yourself. Secondly, you have to stay relevant. Things are changing. Things in your world are changing. Things in your business are changing. Things where you work are changing. Are you staying relevant to the changes that are going on in the world round about you? Churches today are changing, and oftentimes churches are trying to go back to business as usual. Listen, you're not going to be able to go back to business as usual. You need to open yourself to the changes that are going on, even in the church world, in the business world, in the world of science. There are constant and continual changes. You have to stay relevant. And then number 3, let me suggest you make yourself irreplaceable. I used to say to our church, because one thing I've never worried about was someone taking over. I used to say to our church, if anyone here can replace me, feel free to do so. Let me know as soon as I become irrelevant. No one ever took me up on the offer because they deemed me to be irreplaceable. Why? Because I have a unique perspective and an interesting outlook on things. Make yourself irreplaceable where you are. You have a business, make it an irreplaceable business, something that people need and will continue to need. If you're working in a business, make yourself irreplaceable to that business, so it's going to cost them more to get rid of you than it is to put up with you. Make yourself irreplaceable, and in a time of change, you will prosper in every dimension of your life, and that's my heart's desire for you. I want to see you to prosper in every dimension of your life, spiritually, physically, relationally, emotionally, and financially. That's what the abundant life that Jesus promised is all about. Speaking of that abundant life, this Sunday at Aspire Church, I have a word for you. Jesus said, "Lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the earth." What does that mean? Find out this Sunday. It will change your life. Catch it live on the live stream at Aspire Church TV. Catch on Facebook, Aspire Church TV. Facebook, Aspire Church TV. Live stream, AspireChurch.tv. Sunday morning, 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Or join us at the building. I'm Dr. Leon Stutzman, a.k.a. Doc. So glad to have you with me. I'll be back Friday with a new video. I'll look for you then.